Lloyd, Ruhl, aka MegaBlitzz. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the top 8 decks from San Antonio Regionals. Now, I had actually watched almost all of day 1 and 2, and I watched all of Top Cut of this regional, and I'm really excited to go over some of these decks here in our top 8. Just a couple in particular, Lost Giratina. However, we'll get into those. But if you haven't yet, don't forget to leave a like, smash the subscribe button, because I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. All right, let's jump right in to these deck lists. Alrighty, guys, let's start us off here with our 8th place deck. We got Snorlax Pidgeot Control. Things that I like about this deck. You're able to actually potentially win the game by taking prize cards, which I think is awesome. You're able to attack with Luxray V. You're able to attack with Pidgeot EX. You're able to use Tempting Trap because this deck's playing 3 double turbo energies and 1 V-Guard energy in the deck. I think that's awesome. So, I like this deck. I'm super excited to try it out. Things that I love about the deck. The fact that you can potentially win the game by taking prize cards. The fact that you have so many different control elements in here that it really can make your opponent's life really difficult. You got that early Fang Snipe with Luxray, you got Tempting Trap, you got Quick Search, you got Blistering Wind to be able to move their path if you need to, and you got this Dunsparce in here, which makes it so your normal Pokemon don't have a weakness. So Miraidon players are going to struggle getting rid of this Pidgeot, and your Miniors that we got going around, you ain't hitting ×2. It's just what it is. So I like the fact that you're able to kind of quick search and find whatever disruptive supporter you may need that turn, or maybe even just like a counter catcher or a Pal Pad or whatever card you need in that given moment. You're able to find with that Pidgeot, and you're actually able to remove Path to the Peak kind of at ease with this deck because, well, Pidgeot can remove it with its attack, and you got 5 stadiums in here with Lost City, Artisan, and Stormy Mountains. Going into the other things that I like to see Stormy Mountains in here because it lets you get your Luxray V or your Rotom out really early on. I also really like to see Lost City in this deck here because if you're going up against Lost Box decks and you're able to attack with Pidgeot and remove their Sableye really early on in the game, it's going to make it really difficult for those Lost Box players to kind of come back in the game because one of the huge strengths with Lost Box is that reoccursion of Sableye. Especially in this deck here where you literally got 2 free prize cards sitting right on your bench with that Spiritomb and that Dunsparce. 6 and 6, that's 12. Like, that's 2 free prize cards for Sableye players. Lost Box players will eat that up. They love that stuff. So, I'm definitely excited to try this deck out. Very different, and I'm glad to see that we have different Snorlax control variants going around. So, shout out to our 8th place person here. Awesome. Very cool list. Can't wait to try it out myself. Moving into our 7th place deck here, we got Turbo Miraidon. Now, Turbo Miraidon is very different than Miraidon Path. Miraidon Path is just trying to kind of get set up, get a bunch of energies on stuff as much as you can, get a Mareep set up, maybe you can try to get a Flaffy set up really early, and then play Path and then go. This list isn't trying to do that. This list is literally trying to attack with anything as quickly as possible. Preferably Iron Hands EX, depending on what matchups. If you're going against Lost Box, you're going to try to amp you very much early on. If you're going against other big V decks or maybe other decks of that nature, you're going to try to maybe attack with Miraidon or Raichu really quickly or Raikou really quickly. And that's kind of what you're trying to do in those decks, is try to just attack very quickly depending on what deck you're playing against, which is why we got 16 electric energies in the deck. So things that I like about the deck. I like that it's fast and aggressive. I have tried P&E Miraidon, and it is fun, and it is fast, and man, does it feel good when you get that ampy very much off, and then your opponent just goes, yeah, well, I'm out of this game, and just scoop it up. Feels kind of nice. My favorite thing, Lost Vacuum. I think Lost Vacuum is such a great card in Miraidon decks, especially because if you're playing against a deck, like you're playing Miraidon Path, and they put you underneath Path first, being able to Lost Vacuum out from underneath that Path can be so strong, and I like to see that in here. Also, Lost Vacuum helps remove things like Bravery Charm or Luxurious Cape and Snorlax stall decks, or even Defiance Band or Path, or anything that's kind of making your life a little bit more difficult. Lost Vacuum's there to kind of remove that, and I think that's awesome. So that's my favorite thing about the deck. Things that I would like to see change in this deck, however. I would like to see the Mareep and Flaffy get to a 2-2 line. I think I would cut a Mew in Electric Energy for this. Sure, you do have Super Rod in here to be able to kind of reoccur your Mareep and Flaffy and whatnot. But if you get stuck in a game where you kind of get drug out a little bit longer than this deck wants to be, I feel like having that second Flaffy could go a really long way because you're able to get 2 energies kind of set up on stuff multiple times a turn, because chances are you're discarding energy in this deck is really high. You got 4 Ultra Balls in here, you got Squawking Seas and things of that nature. Things are going to get KO'd at some point in time. They're going to probably have energies on it. So being able to reoccur with that Flaffy is one of the really strong points about Miraidon, and I just would like to see a 2-2 split of that. So shout out to our 7th place opponent here. Very nice deck. Going into our 6th place deck here, we got Lost Tina. Now, Lost Tina, I feel like, is still in a very good spot in this format. You 50-50 against almost everything. I've been saying it for a while now, and I'm so glad that this regional had happened, because I feel like it really showed a lot of people that Lost Tina can still hang. It still is putting up numbers. It's still a really good deck, because a lot of people were like, don't play Lost Tina, it's not that great in this format right now, and I think it is. You have to know how to play the deck, and you really gotta hope that you're able to kind of get things churning correctly, because this deck is very 50-50, which makes the matchups kind of, well, 50-50. Like, you don't have just a free win against any deck, really. You really kind of got to work for it and get things set up in a certain way to be able to pull this off. So this list here is a little bit different than the other lists that we're going to see later, because this list is playing Spiritomb, it's playing Avery, and we have seen Spiritomb and Avery in these decks. I feel like one of the harder matchups for Lost Tina to overcome is Mew VMAX, because it's really difficult for Lost Tina to get to that 300 damage in this deck. So you really got to Star Requiem most Mew VMAXs, or you're at least trying to at least one time. So being able to play Avery as well is really nice, especially against other decks like Gardevoir or maybe Lost Tina or Mew or Snorlax Stall, because you can have them discard things off their bench and then draw some cards along in the process. And they actually opted out to take Ionos out of this deck and go to, you know, more Nest Balls, cut a Battle VIP Pass for another Nest Ball, and then go to, you know, playing this Avery instead of Iono. I have seen a lot of people play, you know, like 4 VIP Pass, 2 Nest Ball, and Iono, or 2 Iono, 1 Roxanne, no Avery. But this list is a little bit different. That's the thing I like about Lost Tina, is you can switch out a couple supporter cards, and depending on what you're going up against, it can really help you win the game. I also like to see Pokegear in here. I've been dabbling in putting Pokegear in my Lost Tina list a little bit, and it's been feeling really nice. Being able to just go Pokegear, find that Chorus, or find the Avery, or find Boss, or whatever you may need, feels incredible. So I like that a lot. So shout out to our 6th place pony here, showing up with Lost Tina, really showing that it's still got the stuff. Going into our 5th place deck, we got Snorlax Stall, the OG Snorlax Stall if it were, with just the Snorlax block variant. You're not really trying to win by take prize cards. You got Pokemon League headquarters to make things difficult for Gardevoir and Lost Box players. You got Temple of Sinnoh to make it difficult as well. You got Luxurious Cape. You got the Heavy Misfortune Sisters, Heavy Penny. You got Erica's Invitation, Giacomo, Sydney, Avery. All these disruptional supporters to really stall your opponent out of the game. So this list isn't really too different from things that we've already been seeing in other Lost Box decks, or sorry, other Snorlax Stall decks, except the Pokemon League credit quarters is a little bit spicy. We haven't seen that really going in any Snorlax Stall decks. The things we have been seeing, though, is a Crabominable and a Water Energy in Snorlax Stall decks. But this person opted to not do that at all, and just kind of go for more of the heavy, just get set up, get my block stuff rolling, get the heavy Nest Balls, just get everything set up and start getting everything rolling, so it's really difficult for my opponent to come back and win the game. And I really still would like to see a Dunsparce in this list. I feel like Dunsparce, after seeing that in our 8th place deck, I feel like would be such a good auto include in Snorlax Stall. I don't know why I keep saying Lost Box. In Snorlax Stall decks, because Minior is like the best counter Snorlax Stall right now. But you also could get away with not putting in Dunsparce in this list, because you're playing 3 copies of Penny. And Bravery Charm attached to the Snorlax cannot get KO'd by Minior, because Minior is 20 times the amount of retreat cost in your opponent's active Pokemon. So 2 times 4 is 8, times that by 2 because fighting weakness is 160. Bravery Charm puts it at 200, so you're not even KOing with Minior anyway. So you could not put Dunsparce in here, but you could. I could see why they wouldn't, I could see why they would. It's kind of a variant, but super cool to see another Snorlax Doll deck putting up the numbers again. So shout out to our 5th place opponent. Very nicely done. Moving into our 4th place deck here, we got Charizard EX. We got that Arvanzard. I had actually tried Arvinzard for the first time on the video that I uploaded most recently on Sunday, and man, was it fun. That was tons of fun to be able to play Arvinzard for the first time and pick up a W with it. It was great. So things that I love about this deck. The perfect Charmander split. I think this is the perfect Charmander split right here. Charmeleon, I understand why people are playing the 90 HP Charmeleon, because Chien-Pao's kind of fallen off, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult for Lost Box players to pull off that Radiant Greninja early on in the game. So 9 times out of 10, you're not really going to put down the Charmeleon unless you know that they can't pull off that next turn. So I get why it's in here, and its attack is better than the 100 HP Charmeleon. I understand. So things that I like about the deck, though. I love to see Lost Vacuum in the deck. I think Lost Vacuum is a great card in this deck. Things I love about the deck here is Justified Gloves. I think Justified Gloves is a really cool card in Charizard EX because not only does it help with the mirror match, but it also helps with decks like Roaring Moon as well, because you're able to do more damage to Dark-type Pokemon. So I think Justified Gloves is a really unique card in this deck, and I think it might be something that we see in other Charizard decks going forward. Things that I don't like. Vitality Band. I don't like Vitality Band in this deck. I think just take out Vitality Band and put in Defiance Band. I feel like Defiance Band just is more fit in the deck. I think Defiance Band fits in this Charizard deck more, like, just better. I think Defiance Band is a better fit for the deck because Charizard really comes off and starts really popping off when your opponent has taken a couple prize cards, as opposed to Vitality Band where that doesn't really matter. I mean, you're only doing... Right here it says, the attacks this Pokemon is attached to do 10 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, which is great. So sometimes you're able to hit that, like, a little extra more with Vitality Band, but Defiance Band, if your opponent's up prizes, that's going to come in handy way more and is going to kind of help you maybe in the mirror match or maybe against other even big EX decks of that nature. So very kind of similar, simple list that we've seen of Charizard EX. Nothing too crazy going on here, but shout out to our 4th place opponent. Nicely done, showing up with that Charizard. Going into our 3rd place deck here, we got Palkia V-Star. Now, we had seen Palkia pop off in a recent regional as well, where it had actually also taken 3rd place. But this person showed up with another Palkia deck here, with that Ice Rider, Palkia V-Star, you know, Chien-Pao, Suicune. We call this like the Palkia Toolbox deck, I guess is what you could kind of call it, because you got all these different attackers, right? You're able to attack with Suicune. You're able to attack with Greninja. You're able to attack with Chien-Pao and Ice Rider and Palkia. You're even able to attack with Lumineon if you really need to. So, very nicely done here. I like the cross-switcher canceling clone combo in this deck. I think that since Chien-Pao has fallen off, like Chien-Pao by Excalibur has fallen off, people kind of stopped really noticing or caring about the cross-switcher canceling clone combo. And now this person showed up with this cross-switcher canceling clone combo in their Greninja and probably could prey on that a little bit. I actually would like to maybe even know from this person how many times they were able to pull off the cross-switcher canceling clone with that Greninja. I want to know how many times throughout the entire tournament they were able to do that, because I feel like it's going to be up there. I feel like the number is going to be a little bit higher than the average time you could pull it off. So, nicely done here. Not too much to really say about the deck. I mean, we've kind of already seen it before. I mean, the split of Palkia and Palkia V-Star and Ice Rider V and VMAX is a little bit different than the other list, but I like it. I like the energy switch in here, being able to kind of move things around if you need to, because sometimes you can only start a portal one time, and you're not playing back Excalibur in the deck, so you really got to make sure you're putting energies where you need to, especially because, well, you're only playing 8, and you have 1 Super Rod, which is great, but you only got 1 Super Rod and 1 Star Portal to be able to pull that off. So I guess you can also Melanie and put it on there and draw some cards as well, but I don't know. I like the energy switch. I think the energy switch fits very nicely in the deck. And just 1 copy. You could even go for 2. I think 2 would work. Lost Vacuum is really great because you're able to kind of bump that path to the peak. That can kind of shut down your Shivery Chill, your Fleet Foot, or any of these big abilities that you got going on in this deck, with Star Portal even being shut off with that path, because you're only playing 1 Collapse Stadium. So you really need that Lost Vacuum to kind of be there sometimes to be able to get it out of the way. So shout out to our 3rd place opponent here, showing up with Palkia V-Star, showing that Palkia is still a contender. I have all the cards for this deck actually, and I'm really excited to potentially put it together and try it out at my locals, because I loved Palkia. I played Palkia when it was the Drizzile Shady Dealings thing, and I had so much fun playing that version of Palkia. So definitely excited to try this version out of Palkia as well. All right, moving into our second place deck here. I really wanted Grant Hayes to take the W over Azul Garcia Grego playing Lost Tina, and the reason is, and I will be 100% honest with you guys, this is my exact 60 of Lost Tina. This is the exact 60 that I have been playing for the last 2 weeks of Lost Tina. All these cards are the exact same. I have swapped from 1 Iona to 2 Roxanne. I had put in a Pokegear. This is my 60, and I was like, oh my gosh, this person is playing the exact same deck that I have been. I was like, man, take the W. I was like, I want you to take the W so bad, and I feel so bad for him too, because like I said, I had watched all of the regionals, and the fact that you needed to find the Giratina V-Star off of like your 2 flower selectings and all the other cards that you were drawing. You just needed to find the 1 Giratina V-Star out of like the 8 cards or 10 cards you had left in his deck, and he couldn't find it. And had he would have won the entire region. I was just like, oh my gosh, no. And I know what that feels like because I have been there. So quickly go over this list. I love it. It's my exact 60. It's the same 60 I've been playing. However, you could just do 2 Iona, 1 Roxanne. It doesn't really change a lot about the deck, but Roxanne is kind of more of a late game card as opposed to Iona, where you can use it a little bit early on. So you could just swap these around if you really want to, but super awesome to see this guy here, just Grant Hayes, playing Lost Tina, almost putting it all the way to first. I think it would have been awesome if he had. So, but either way, second place is nothing to slouch at. So congratulations to Grant Hayes for taking second place here with this Lost Tina deck. Our Lost Tina deck. I know mine wasn't displayed anywhere, but I promise you guys, that this is my exact 60. This is 60 I've been playing, and just is awesome. So congratulations to Grant. Very nicely done. All right, first place here we got Azul Garcia Grego's Charizard EX deck. Now, perfect Charmander split that I like. 90 HP Charmeleon, we already talked about it before in the fourth place deck. It makes sense now to be playing it. You got the Charizard, you got your Pidgeot, your Rotom, your Lumineon, your Mew, your Jirachi Manaphy as well. You got your heavy Arvins, you got Professor's Research in here, just a 1 copy of. You got a couple heavy Iono in here, a couple heavy Boss as well. Got the counter catchers. I like Justified Gloves. Like I'd said, I think Justified Gloves fits in here nicely. I'm not sold on Vitality Band. I know, Azul he's like one of the greatest players in the United States, and he won the regional, so how can you argue with him? I'm not arguing. It's my personal preference. I would prefer Defiance Band over Vitality Band. It's just a personal thing. I don't know why people are playing Vitality Band in the deck. So if you guys know, let me know in the comments below why Vitality Band is being played in these decks, because truly, I don't know. And I'm open to understanding and being like, yeah, that makes sense. I would probably play Vitality Band knowing that now too. But all the things that I've seen, it just doesn't quite make sense to me. I would also really like to see just these Charizard decks kind of popping up more and more. I think Charizard has the potential to be the kind of best deck in format going forward for a little while. It's positioned very nicely in the meta. It's very difficult to overcome. And we don't really have any great grass attackers to be able to deal with Charizard EX. Like, the best thing you got is Superior V-Star. That's kind of it. And you really only saw that in Arctina decks. And, well, as much as I loved Arctina, Arctina's like tier 2, tier 2.5 at best. So, sadly, we don't got a really whole lot of things to deal with Charizard EX right now. Your kind of best options like Star Requiem it with, you know, Giratina, or maybe like the mirror match I feel like may be a little interesting or something of that nature. I feel like Mew has a pretty okay time again to Charizard. I know it's weak to it, but you're able to kind of get to that high number, and that heavy path that Mew can do really can make it difficult for Charizard players. So, congratulations to Azul Garcia Grego. Man, it's a mouthful sometimes. Very awesome. Was able to put up another regional win. The man's got so many of them. So, nicely done. Very cool 60. Definitely going to try it out. I would like to know why Vitality Band's still in here over Defiance Band. So if you guys know, like I said, let me know in the comments below. Let's jump right into that outro. Alright guys, and that was the top 8 decks from San Antonio Regionals. Absolutely awesome. Like I said, I watched almost all of day 1, almost all of day 2, and I watched all of Top Cut. And that finals match, the commentators said it, and I agree with them a whole 100%. It was insane. That was the craziest finals I've ever seen out of any regionals. Just Grant Hayes had it, had he found that Giratina V-Star, and he had so many opportunities to, and just the luck wasn't on his side, unfortunately. But such a close, cool, good game. It was so awesome, and we love to see those kind of games. But if you haven't yet, don't forget to leave a like, smash the subscribe button, because I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Peace!